Okay, now this is the Super Stick 5000. Now, not all of you are ready for the stick. That's all I'm gonna say. You're not all ready for this. Most of you couldn't even lift this thing, let alone afford it, even with my super special price of $98,875, okay? But just a word of warning, if you are going to order this stick, there are no refunds. And the reason for this is that we had an unfortunate event with the Sasquatches in shipping just a little while ago. The customer was angry about the service they received from the Sasquatches in shipping, and then the Sasquatches got more angry about the customer not liking the service they received. So, long story short, some Sasquatches went on a pilgrimage and showed up at the customer's house, and let's just say they gave an in-depth tutorial of how to use the stick, okay? Just a word of warning, okay? So if you're going to order this stick, please, for the love of God, don't ask for a refund.
Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Mountain. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about body weight exercises, and this is based on a comment I just had. So it's not necessarily an in-depth video on how to do body weight exercises, but it is something to do with this, let's just say, pissing contest that goes on online, right? So I always get commenters, or at least often I get commenters that take one thing that they're good at and then they compare the rest of society to that one thing that they're good at and they ignore about the million things that they're bad at, right? So they create this weird sort of measuring system of who's the best based on that one thing that they're good at, right? Like who could wiggle their ears the best and whatever. Oh, hey, yeah, if you're wondering what I'm doing out here, I'm scouring the planet looking for men with self-confidence. I'm also hiding from the Sasquatches. I said a few things at the staff meeting they didn't like, so yeah, there's that. You know, let's forget about insecurity for a moment. I know that's an impossible issue on the internet, but let's just pretend that we're all allies here and we're not trying to just compete with everybody, you know? But basically one comment that was made was that one guy said, bodybuilders, you know, the pro bodybuilders, they can't even do a chin up. So, you know, they're useless, right? They're totally out of shape. There's something wrong with them because they can't do a lot of reps with their own body weight. Now, one thing I think that people miss is that they don't understand that there's a difference between strength and strength to weight ratio, right? And the heavier you get, the lower the strength to weight ratio is going to get, right? So you see this with powerlifters all the time where they can say bench press 600 pounds, right? And they might be, you know, 220 pounds, 240, whatever it is, you know. But then you get a guy that's measurably weaker, like 140 pounds, it's easier for him to do a higher ratio of his weight, right? So he might be able to bench press 2.5 times or 3 times his body weight. But once you get into the super heavyweight category, you'll notice that those guys are more like 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 times their body weight. So you're going to notice that that strength to weight ratio does go down. Now, because of this, obviously, when they're doing body weight exercises and they are heavier, they're lifting more weight. So say, for instance, you're doing chin-ups your whole life, but now I suddenly put 40 pounds of extra muscle on your legs. Obviously, the amount of reps that you can do with a chin-up will go down, right? Because your strength doesn't necessarily go up in a linear sort of fashion with your own body weight. So it doesn't mean that you're weaker, it just means that your strength to weight ratio might have went down, but overall you're stronger. Like if you try to compare yourself to some of these pro guys that are bent over rowing 400-500 pounds for reps, and you go to try to do that at 150 pound body weight, you're probably going to destroy yourself. You know, you won't even be able to move the weight. So the truth is that a lot of these guys are stronger. So I just basically made a comment because I don't have time to write a book in the comments. I don't have time for that. I know everybody thinks that I have time to just write books. I'm too busy making videos and podcasts for the Patreon podcasts and whatever. But I said, listen, I said, just because a guy can't do as many reps as somebody else doesn't mean they're weak. It just means that they're, you know, they're at a heavier body weight. That has to be a factor that you take into account when you measure how strong somebody is when it comes down to how many reps they can do on a chin-up or something. And then this guy, you know, answered, all triggered for whatever reason. I don't know why he's so triggered about this, but he's like, oh, that's bullshit because the strong men, you know, they can do 20 reps and they're 300 pounds body weight and they can do 20 reps with chin-ups, right? Well, okay, good. They can do 20 reps on the chin-up. Great. The strong men can do 20 reps on the chin-up at 300 pounds body weight. But I guarantee you, if they shred it down to 250, especially if they lost weight off their legs, they'd be doing 30 or 40 reps chin-ups. And you see guys that can do 30 or 40 rep chin-ups all the time that are 150 pounds, 160 pounds. So this just proves my point. Strength to weight ratio does play a factor in how many reps you can get when it comes down to your own body weight. But does that mean you're stronger because you're able to do more reps than a guy that's twice your size? No, you're not stronger. You're not in better shape. You're just dealing with less weight, right? And that's just the reality of it. So in the end, if you want to measure strength, measure how much you're actually pushing. How much weight are you pulling? How much weight are you actually moving? That is the real measure of strength. You know, but strength to weight ratio is a different thing altogether. That's totally different, right? You want to talk crap? Well, how many reps can you do with the mountain? So strength to weight ratio obviously is important when it comes down to certain sports that require agility and so forth. But just because you have more agility doesn't mean you're a better athlete. So take a sumo wrestler, for instance. Those guys are pretty agile for their weight. But if you try to face up against them, you know, being stronger, being able to do more chin-ups than them, and you're only 170 pound body weight and they're 350, 400 pounds, you are going to get absolutely crushed. So be careful in measuring yourself too highly when it comes down to whatever idealism you have going on in your head. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I just wanted to bring attention to a comment that was made that was kind of ignorant. I don't understand why guys are getting triggered. You know, don't get triggered by stuff, guys. Like, you know, most of you guys here don't get triggered, but some of you are getting triggered just over stupid stuff. Like, in the end, you know what I mean? Lift weights, try to figure out what the diet and nutritional guidelines are for yourself, try to figure out how to become better every day. It doesn't mean that you are somehow substandard if you're not measuring up to other people's standards. Just play in the gym, have fun, progress in whatever way you can. And remember, no matter how good or bad you are at this bodybuilding or weightlifting game, it doesn't measure who you are as a person. You know, it doesn't mean anything when it comes down to your value as a human being. You know what I'm saying? You're still a mountain no matter what. Like, don't worry about it. I don't know why we're always talking about this shit. Anyway, as you can see, I'm standing in the middle of a grassland thing on top of a cliff here. I'm looking for the next exercise stick for you guys. Now, some of you have stated that you've had some sticks show up at your house. Now, somebody said that one of the sticks was delivered and it was delivered on top of their car. I'm sorry about that. I will talk to the Sasquatches in shipping. Sometimes they're a little ornery, you know. Sometimes they take liberties when it comes down to the way that they deliver the sticks. I can't really control that. I've talked about that to you guys before. You know, Sasquatches are not really the most diplomatic people. But anyway, just so you know, so if you could forgive that little mistake, just trust me, you know, order a stick, don't worry. Trust me, it keeps the Sasquatches happy. And also, if you don't order sticks, that makes the Sasquatches angry. So if you don't like the stick being on top of your car, trust me, they do a lot more creative things with the sticks if you stop ordering. And don't ask me how I know, all right? Don't ask me. Oh, that's a lot of sticks. Sasquatches are gonna be happy. They're gonna be happy, 100%, 100%.